Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Tristan. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. And as my first slide suggests, today we're going to be having a look at Catalyst in motion. We're going to look at how it's going to revolutionize how we use Disk now, but also into the future. Now, the purpose of today's session is to highlight what Catalyst is, how it can benefit your learners, and the promotional offers that are currently available to help you make the transition over to the Catalyst platform. The reason for this webinar is we are finding that there are quite a few people who are still a bit unsure about what Catalyst is or why they should consider using the platform. So I thought the best way to address some of these concerns is to take things back to basics and then progress with a little bit more detail throughout our session. So, as mentioned, we're going to start quite basic, and to take things back to that basic level, we'll start nice and simple with something that I'm sure we are all quite familiar with, and that is going to be the Everything Disk Workplace Profile. So this is our foundational profile and by far the most prevalent tool that's part of the Everything Disk product suite. So as most of you will know, it essentially focuses on supporting an understanding of oneself while also fostering an understanding of others and allowing you to have more effective relationships and interactions with the people we work with. That's the idea. So we're going to take our foundational profile being the Everything Disk Workplace Profile. You can currently access this in two different forms. The first one is the one that you're probably most used to if you were using this tool prior to 2020, and that's going to be known as our standard or more traditional version of the Workplace Profile. Post-2020, you also have the option of accessing the workplace profile on Catalyst. And we can think about this in terms of the two ways you're going to access the actual materials themselves. So let's begin with our standard or traditional version of Workplace that you may have been using for several years up until this point. This is essentially your 20-page PDF document that I'm sure you're all used to. So it's essentially a hard copy PDF document you can print out and provide to your learners. The information is presented in more of a report style format. So you read through it as you go. It's a great tactile experience of being able to hold out your printed report, mark it up, personalize it, really make it your own. The only thing that we are really sort of focusing on here, though, is that yes, it can be printed out and used throughout your session, but then there is the opportunity, or the chance rather, that it sits on a shelf, in a desk, in a drawer, to be read over again when the learner thinks of it or has time. So there's a little bit of a barrier there to really keeping the tool alive and getting more practical use of the actual report. So unless it's sitting there on their desk, ready to open up and review, that is a little bit of a challenge in terms of keeping the use of disk alive. This is where the Catalyst profile really comes in and comes into shine as well. So with the Catalyst version of the Workplace profile, you're getting a personalized web-based experience, but you're accessing the same information that you're used to from the standard or traditional Workplace profile, just delivered a little bit differently. And that is really the crucial aspect here. It's that web-based version, something that people are very much used to using, especially if they're spending a lot of time on the computer. It's nice and readily available. So you have that material accessed via a web page instead of a report. But that is just the beginning in terms of the added benefits that Catalyst brings. So along with all the same information that you're used to using, your learners will also have access to some in-depth podcasts and videos. So incredible value add that you're just not going to get using the PDF standard version of the Workplace profile. So as you can see, the learners will get access to one of 12 podcasts about their style, and they're quite in-depth, almost an hour's in length in my instance here for the SI style podcast. They're also going to get access to videos of actors portraying the different disc styles. So they get to see the styles personified, become a little bit more familiar with some of the characteristics that they might see in some of their co-workers. And of course, the primary benefit of Catalyst, for which this version brings, is the ability to access the disc profile wherever and whenever your learners might need it. The main focus of Catalyst was to really keep disk alive and have your learners come back to use the tool and get the benefits of the profile far beyond just the workplace debrief or the workshop that you initially run with them. So that's really going to be a common theme moving forward. So these are just the benefits for the individual for using, for instance, the Workplace on Catalyst version of their profile. But really, where Catalyst does shine is the collaboration side of things. So this is going to encourage additional use of the tool, as I said, beyond the initial workshop or debrief, because it brings in the colleagues of your learners to really encourage and foster a workplace that uses DISC at the heart of the things that they do. Now, depending on how your Catalyst profiles have been set up, your learners can access a myriad of collaborative tools and benefits through the Catalyst platform, and that is simply built into how they access the profile. So, as an example, we'll look at the first fantastic collaboration tool here. It's known as the Compare to a Colleague tool. And so those of you who have maybe used the traditional comparison report in the past, this is essentially a digitized version of the comparison report that can be accessed on demand by your learners so they can learn a little bit more about their colleagues. So for an example here is a screenshot from my Catalyst platform. You can see you can access all of your Keep Your Team colleagues comparison report data through the use of this tool. Now, I'm going to pick on Alicia as a bit of an example here, but this is showing you what kind of shared information is available through this Compare to a Colleague tool. So what I can see is Alicia's dot placement. I can also see the additional priority that she has in this instance for enthusiasm. That gets me the ability to have a better understanding of Alicia's DISC style, but also see any of those additional priorities around the map that might be present there. I can also see some of these continua. And again, this may trigger some memories for anyone that uses the standard comparison reports. This is available on Catalyst for your learners to access when they need to. So in this example here, we can see that we've got the continua of private versus outgoing. Both Alicia and I are plotted here. And we can see that we are quite similarly placed in this particular continua. And I can have a read about some of the tendencies that I demonstrate, and also same for Alicia. We can see we're very closely aligned. As another example, here is a continua that is actually quite different between Alicia and I. So we can see that I'm more towards the accommodating side of the continua, Alicia more on the strong-willed side. And so this can be really useful for your learners. For instance, if they're about to work on some project work together, or even as a team building exercise, your learners are able to sit down with one another, run this comparison report, and have those really robust conversations about our similarities and our differences and how we come to work each day. So that's the first really exciting collaboration tool available through the Catalyst version of Workplace. The next one that I want to talk to you about is the Build a Group feature. So this allows you to create learner groups within a team or perhaps an organizational level, allowing your learners to access a team group map. So here you can see the very modestly named Dream Team we have here at Team Integro. This has allowed me to build this group and have a great visual representation of where we all sit together as a team on a single DISC map. One thing to point out, as you can see, quite a heavy weighting of S-style staff members as part of our team, and we can elaborate and flesh out what that actually looks like in a little bit more detail through this Build a Group function. The next great function that is available from the collaboration side is this joint group continua comparison. So what we saw before was a one-to-one comparison with Alicia and I. What Catalyst allows us to do is actually plot the entire team on some of these continua as well. And if you recall, when I noted on the previous slide how we had a strong concentration of S-style colleagues as part of Team Integro, yes, that is definitely the case. Have a look at the varied responses, though, on just this one continua as an example. So private versus outgoing, despite having a huge proportion of us in that S quadrant, you can see that we actually vary quite significantly as a team. And this is just one of many continua available on a group setting, which is only available through Catalyst. The idea is that you can review these as a team and again have those really interesting, robust conversations, either in a team meeting or in a team building exercise, to really make the most of DISC and have people use that the right terminology, the main focus of the DISC profile that they learned about as part of their debrief. It's that ongoing keeping DISC alive component. If you wanted some extra help to get the most out of those group continua, we have access to also the conversation starters. So these at the moment are these 3 topics you can see here on your screen. Things like getting to know your team, making decisions together, or communicating clearly. And what these will do is use some of those group continua that we saw on the previous slide and have these preset questions that you can use to discuss together as a group to really understand what kind of impact these different continua and our own preferences have on how we come to work and collaborate as a team. Again, big focus on using the tool beyond your initial debrief or workshop. The final collaboration slide that I really want to share with you is the Get Advice tool. And this is really great for condensing the information that is available in those digitized comparison reports into bite-sized tips for these 4 specific areas. So again, if I were to look at Alicia as an example, if I needed to come in here to Catalyst quite quickly and I wanted to get some tips on collaborating with her, the Get Advice tool will condense that information for me so it's readily available. I don't have to go rummaging through my desk or into my drawers to find my paper-based profile. Everything is kept readily accessible for me on-site the Catalyst platform, ready to go whenever I need it. So that's some of the collaboration and individual benefits to coming across to the Catalyst platform. We've had a look at Catalyst in terms of the initial base profile, being the workplace profile, but there are also some great modular learning activities that go alongside Catalyst and are available to your learners as well. So, as discussed, workplace is our base experience. You must have a workplace profile to have access to Catalyst. You do have the option of adding on some of these additional modular learning experiences as well. So for those that aren't familiar with these other 2 products, being Agile EQ and the management profile, Agile EQ focuses on building this ability to adopt different mindsets for various situations. So the idea is you can then develop your understanding of emotional awareness and be more effective with your different interactions. If we have a look at the management profile, that focuses on the one-to-one management of employees and focusing on the skills of delegating, motivating, and developing talent within your team. And again, these are add-on experiences that you can also include on your Catalyst profile to, again, have ready access to them whenever you need. Moving on even further to that one, the benefits of coming across to Catalyst means that you're going to have access or the option to include some of the latest materials and developments that Wiley have to offer. And they're no better example than the Everything Disk WorkSmart modules. So these are recently developed and recently released by Wiley. They are essentially bite-sized modules focused on some of the most common pain points faced by people leaders. So you think about things like providing feedback or managing conflict. These are 1-hour facilitated sessions designed to address those main pain points. And they're accommodated on that 1-hour schedule because of everyone's very busy timeframes and schedules that mean we don't have a lot of time for half-day or full-day trainings in the current environment. So that's another great example. These WorkSmart modules are only available through Catalyst. So by not coming across to the Catalyst platform, unfortunately, WorkSmart is not going to be available in that standard or traditional version. But again, all the more reason to come across to this platform to see what all the fun and exciting things that are going to come through the pipeline for Wiley. And then finally on that one as well, we also have the Catalyst administration experience. So you can think about for those who are currently using their own Epic account to administer disk profiles to their learners, the Catalyst admin experience is a tool that's going to be available to you to essentially focus on those main Catalyst benefits of administration. So you can have a great understanding of how your learners are using the tool, provide access to some of those add-on modular topics and workplace profiles that we discussed in the previous slide, and have a greater understanding about how Catalyst can be administered through your learner group. A little bit like a replacement to Epic, if you like, if that's your main focus to use Catalyst moving forward. So let's have a look at what Catalyst looks like for new users compared to, for instance, our standard or traditional versions of the profiles. So this is the pricing that for the non-Catalyst users that are joining us today would be most familiar with. You have your 3 most common profiles here being Workplace, Management, and Agile EQ. Priced accordingly. So 15 Epic credits for your workplace profile, 25 Epic credits for your management profile, and another 25 Epic credits for your Agile EQ profile. Another benefit of Catalyst is the structure is as follows when it comes to pricing. So it's going to be the same price to access your workplace profile on Catalyst as it is to access the standard PDF version, 15 credits per user. As mentioned, if you wanted to add on some of the other experiences, being management and Agile EQ, you can do so for just 10 additional Epic credits per profile per user. So for instance, if I wanted to give some of my learners access to the management profile, it's just 10 additional credits to give them access to that profile via Catalyst. So a significant price discount compared to giving them just the standard versions of the profile accordingly. Now, some even more exciting news. There is currently a free upgrade on offer for existing DISC learners. And what I mean by that is that if you or your learners have completed any of these traditional profiles, so workplace, management, Agile EQ, or even productive conflict, the sales profile, or worker leaders in their standard traditional PDF formats, you can access a free upgrade to the Catalyst profile, the workplace on Catalyst profile rather, up until the end of the year for 0 credits. So you can use that existing data to come across to the Catalyst profile so that you and your learners can experience that new platform for yourselves. Now, what that looks like logistically is that you can organize for these invitations to come across to Catalyst to be sent out to your learners. As mentioned, it's 0 credits to come across to Catalyst until the end of the year, but there are 5 to 10 minutes of additional upgrade questions that they need to complete. Now, a common misconception is that they're completing a brand new profile. I assure you this is not the case. It's certainly a condensed version, hence the shorter time frame. It means they can just provide this additional information that forms that additional Catalyst profile, and as soon as they finish those extra 5 to 10 minutes of questions, they're immediately given access to Catalyst, so they can explore, read their profile in that web-based format, access to their podcast, access to those videos, and of course, all the fun collaborative tools that we just went through in our previous slides there today as well. So that's what the logistics of getting the upgrade to Catalyst will look like. And again, really want to drive home the importance that this free upgrade is only going to be available until the 31st of December 2025. So there's no better time than today to start exploring moving your learners across to the Catalyst platform, because I promise you don't want to miss out. So coming back to the idea of WorkSmart, again, only currently available on Catalyst, and another good reason for you to come across as widely released new and exciting products. At WorkSmart as an example, this is something that's only going to be available if you are on Catalyst and your learners are on Catalyst. So as an example, for those that are interested in accessing WorkSmart, if you have a workplace on Catalyst profile, and you have access to the Catalyst facilitation kit materials, you can then access everything DISC on WorkSmart, or the WorkSmart on Catalyst, at 50% off. So a significant discount up until the end of July. So 31st of July 2025, it's 10 Epic credits per user to unlock those WorkSmart materials. At the moment, there are 3 modules available. There will be 5 coming very soon. And the beauty of it is that if you do participate in this early adopter promotion, you will get access to the 2 remaining modules free of charge when they are made available later on in this year. So in summary, Catalyst is going to be a fantastic opportunity for you to keep your learners in the loop. They can maximize the effectiveness of keeping DISC alive post-session because they have access to that web-based platform, something that they're going to be able to readily access and are quite familiar with, especially if they are spending quite a lot of time on the computer. Catalyst is really focused on this idea of keeping DISC alive, and that really is the core of the benefits of this Catalyst platform. It's allowing your learners to actively re-engage with the tool so that they can really embed it into their everyday and day-to-day interactions throughout the workplace. So again, just to summarize, free upgrade until the end of this year for any of those existing standard profile users, and then for our WorkSmart here, as you can see on the screen, 50% off for the early adopter promotion up until the end of July 2025. Now, I know I have offered quite a bit of information in these last 25 minutes or so, so I will open and request for anyone to have any questions as part of a Q&A. You can absolutely ask them now. Do not worry if you can't think of any questions on this on the spot right now. You have access to our support email address that you can address any questions about Catalyst, about WorkSmart, about what the process looks like to move your learners across. Team Integro are here to support you with that transition. Right, we're going to have a look in the Q&A here. So where are the videos located, the actors playing out the profiles? That is a fantastic question. What I'll do is I'll just demonstrate a quick demo on the Catalyst platform so you can find those videos. Here is the Catalyst platform. This is signed into my profile. So as you can see, I've got my SI style. If I were to click on Learn About Your Style, this is the workplace profile as you would be used to if you're using the standard version of that particular tool. So it's an introduction to the actual disk map. This is the style story. And again, this is going to be the exact same layout as you would be used to if you're using the standard PDF version. It's the workplace profile on a web-based format. If I come down to what drives you, this is where I can see my motivators and my stresses. Again, the same thing that you're used to with the PDF version of the workplace profile. When it comes to the videos, they're available under the You and Other Styles portion of the workplace profile. So as you can see here, I get some information about the different disk quadrants, and this is where I can start to see my actor portrayals of those different characteristics. So we've got 4 short videos. They're all less than 1 minute in length, and you're going to have these actor portrayals for each of the disk styles accordingly. So you can then go ahead and review those materials. And again, your learners will have access to this as long as they have the workplace on Catalyst profile. I think I can see a few more questions coming in. We go, if you move a client workplace to Catalyst, do all employees see everyone? That is an excellent question. The way that the visibility works for Catalyst is based on a term known as the Catalyst organization. So for instance, I have set up my profile to be part of Team Integro's Catalyst organization, and here we all are. So what that allows me to do is essentially see and do comparisons with the same people that are in that group or that Catalyst organization. So depending on how you structure it, you may have multiple organizations, meaning that whoever is in that same organization can compare with others in that group, if you like. But ultimately, it comes down to the Catalyst organization that determines who can see who on the Catalyst platform. So it doesn't have to be that everyone sees everyone. It depends on how you structure the Catalyst organization. Let's have a look and see what other questions we have here. Okay, I can see I've got a question here. Having trouble bringing approximately 400 Epic users across to Catalyst, issues with using the automated code, etc. Do you have any advice, tips, or documented steps that I can try to resolve this issue? Absolutely. I will encourage you. In fact, I will make a note of that question there, Kerry. I'll organise for some support materials to be sent to you from our support inbox. There are a few different methods of organising those upgrades from standard to Catalyst users, so we can certainly share some of those alternative options for you, and hopefully that will help with that large scale of 400 or so people coming across to Catalyst. I love it. Very exciting to hear that they're going to have that many people coming across to the Catalyst platform. Another question, can you still produce hard copies of the profile from Catalyst for team members who have limited access to online platforms, such as remote areas? Absolutely. You can do that in 2 ways. Of course, Catalyst can still be accessed in terms of the records themselves through your Epic account. So if you currently administer an Epic account, you can absolutely download those PDFs for the profiles as you would have been doing for any of the other standard versions that you've used in the past. As a learner, I can also download copies of my profile by coming up to the Catalyst settings menu here. I have the option to download reports. And so what you can see here, I can choose either all of the different workplace applications, workplace management, Agile EQ, or just particular ones. And that will allow me to download a PDF document straight to my computer. And again, you can use that one accordingly if you're not going to be running the sessions live on Catalyst. Absolutely, we can send out some information about the transfer process. That's not a problem at all. I have one employee who does not want their profile visible to anyone else in the organisation. I understand where they're coming from. Absolutely. Some people may be a little bit hesitant to share their information. Ultimately, that is a decision that can be made by the learner. You are missing out on a little bit of the collaboration side of Catalyst, but if there was a user that was adamant they were not interested in sharing, that can also be toggled from the account settings. So if I were to go into my account settings here, under privacy and communication, I have this toggle here, share with colleagues. And what that essentially allows me to do is it restricts the collaborative side of Catalyst. So if I were now to come back in to compare to a colleague, I can see names and faces, but I cannot see any information about styles or comparisons. And vice versa, I'll pick on Mel in this instance. If Mel were to come into this page, Mel would not be able to see any record of me whatsoever. I will not appear. I'll be a bit like a ghost, if you like. So that's essentially an option that is available. As I said, you'll be missing out on a little bit of the collaboration aspect of Catalyst. So I always encourage people to share as much as they feel comfortable, because it really is a fantastic opportunity to collaborate with your team members and, again, keep the tool alive. I'm just going to go ahead and enable sharing again, just like that. Fantastic. A question from Jeanette. Can people's supplementary report be accessed through Catalyst? Not at the learner level. So as just a learner, not an administrator, I can only access my profiles. If I wanted to get a copy of my supplemental report, I need to reach out to my administrator and ask for a copy accordingly. So that is just one minor limitation here. For the learner, they can only access the actual profile. The supplemental report is still under the control of the administrator on that one. Okay, how do I see my admin access on Catalyst? Absolutely. So if you have linked your Catalyst and Epic accounts, you will have access to something called the Catalyst Administrator Experience. Again, we have fantastic resources available, including some video demos on how to get the most of the Catalyst Administrator Experience. It's probably a little bit too in-depth to go through this webinar this morning, but I will make sure that those materials are also made available to you, so you can review some of those ones and get familiar with using the Catalyst Administrator Experience. That's fine. If it says you're not synced yet, I can also show you some materials that would help you sync those accounts. So that's not a worry. Don't panic. How will the supplement report then be provided to the participant? So the administrator can either download a copy to their machine and then email it, or they can print it out and share it with them if they're doing the session face to face. No problems at all. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. I think that is all the questions at the moment. Love these questions. Please do keep them coming. If anyone has any other questions, more than happy to address them if I can right now. But yes, Jeanette, so if you are looking to give the supplemental report to a learner, absolutely, the administrator can still access it and then just share it with them accordingly, whatever means they prefer. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And yes, looking forward to discussing the use of Catalyst with your learners and supporting you accordingly. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.